Heyo everybody, Haku here with my live reaction for Boku no Hero Academia chapter 264? Is that it? Or is it 284? 284, sorry. So there are like a bazillion different ways that this could go right now. Last we left off, we had Izuku and Shigaraki kind of fighting, but Izuku used float and pulled everybody up into the air, and it was a really great moment. But I kind of feel like as this fight goes on, it's more Izuku going to be fighting around Shigaraki and kind of avoiding him because Shigaraki's super powerful right now, and Izuku's real option is just to avoid his attacks. And I guess that's going to go on forever until Gigantomachia gets there, and then everything is going to separate for now. But I mean, are the villains just going to retreat for now? Are the villains going to gain some level of control? There are so many characters that could die, or maybe they just won't die. So many things that could or couldn't happen with Izuku potentially losing his quirk or unlocking a new quirk. There's just so much going on and like a million ways that Horikoshi could end up riding this, so I have no idea where he's going to take it. But either way, let's get to reading chapter 284. And we're seeing right where we left off with Izuku pulling everybody up into the air in order to avoid Shigaraki's decay. If Shigaraki touches the ground again, it'll mean another wave of mass destruction. I gotta keep him up in the air, so he pulls Shigaraki up too then. Alright. Number 284, Deep Blue Battle. Okay. No good. My control is shaky. Take care of Gran Torino and the rest, and he throws everybody away. They need first aid. Now, get to it, Shoto. And Endeavor is yelling to Todoroki as he's holding Gran Torino. How pathetic. The number one hero should be up there. It should be me. Hang on, Deku. You're the one guy who needs to keep his distance from that creep. He's no longer being held back by erasure. But who else can keep Shigaraki off the ground? And now we have Bakugo and Endeavor's faces. You like this guy that much? Good, 'cause after I steal one for all, I'll send you straight to heaven. Same goes for that old fool and the others down there. You're not gonna hurt them anymore. And he pulls him in to go for an attack. And we see Bakugo still thinking. You want us to help with his training. So what should we do? And we see Sero, Uraraka, whose hair is really different here, and Tsuyu. Thanks for taking the time to be here. I'd like some advice about handling my new power. You mean Black Whip? I thought you were whipping like a pro already. And what's with the new do? Okay, so there was Afro Deku in this sketch that Horikoshi posted the other night. So we're seeing Afro Deku then. It's because I keep losing in a training exercise we call Kachakachan with Black Whip. I haven't caught him once yet. Actually, I wanted to ask you, Sero, about dealing with fast-moving targets since you've got a similar quirk. Kachakachan rules. If Bakugo evades capture and taps Deku, Bakugo wins. And of course, by tapping him, it probably means exploding him. But why do explosions come into play? Once a jerk, always a jerk, huh, Bakugo? Deku's the one who said it, to make it like a real battle. Then, tell me what I can do. I'm still learning how to use my wires. And shouldn't Aizawa-sensei be the man to teach whip techniques? Professor Uraraka, you're here to teach him about body control while braking in midair. But Deku's already good at bouncing around, like hippity-hoppity. Well, more power means increased hang time. Oh, and he needs to master advanced mobility in midair. As for Aizawa, your teacher's busy at the moment. Okay, so this must have been going down while Aizawa was spending a lot of time with Kurogiri. I've already got everyone's moves written down. Sensei's too. I think we can find some common ground in terms of how we use our bodies. Imagine you're swimming through the air, but keep your arms and legs balanced. Good. Okay, so that's how it works. Propulsion via air force, and he starts shooting himself around. Oh, there you go. I like this, using people who have similar abilities to teach Izuku how to use his. Though that doesn't really explain Tsuyu yet, I guess. Now, stay up in the air and get some coaching on Black Whip. Got it. It's going great, huh? The float quirk suspends the body in midair, much like her zero gravity. Getting a feel for it ahead of time should help him keep it under control when it manifests. Plus, conceptualizing what it's like to fly could lead to unlocking it. And now we have a water bottle. You can't keep fooling people forever. And I love this moment here with Bakugo and All Might. This ain't like when it was just super strength. Pretty soon the cat's gonna fly out of the bag. I'm not telling anyone about anything beyond Black Whip, and this training should prevent the next power from exploding out the way this one did. That night, you seem to understand how someone who has great power bestowed on them needs to think very carefully about how it puts others at risk. It's not only the wicked who seek power. Deku trusts you with his life, but in the notebook about the successors, your summary of the fourth was kinda half-finished, only that one. Meanwhile, you wrote down detailed notes for the others, like the cause of death for the 5th, 6th, and 7th. Why is that? And then when I brought it up, you didn't tell me everything, huh? Geez, now I want to know. I want to know the stories about the other ones. Well, what is it? Did you figure out something about One for All? Not yet. I don't want to speculate and talk about things I'm not sure of, because I'm worried for him. You are too. He just, deep down, he doesn't take himself into account, you know. He's always been like that. And now that he can do so much more, something doesn't feel right. Makes me want to keep him at arm's length. Okay, so this is interesting. They're worried to tell him about, like, at least one of them, at least, like, the fourth, because they're not sure of something and because of Izuku's self-destructive tendencies. So I wonder if he had a quirk that was powerful, but could be self-destructive then. Something doesn't feel right. It makes me want to keep him at arm's length. Back then, I ignored my own weakness, so I ended up bullying him. But now you're sincerely helping him out with his training. That's your way of trying to atone, right? Precision over power. Nice and easy. I get it. Think of it as an extension of your body, though I'm sure he doesn't see it that way. When I said you and Endeavor are a lot alike, I was talking about that change. He couldn't take a good look at himself either, until I wound up like this. You'll get a chance to talk, eventually. Not that I'm in a position to say much. Endeavor, you gotta make this, final one count. Oh, so maybe is Izuku going to temporarily lose his quirks, and that's going to be the moment that allows him and Bakugo to connect? But we see Izuku levying an attack, and Bakugo and Endeavor are both going in. Looks like he's adapting to my 100% attacks and taking hits, but his wounds are healing slower. The damage is sticking. The last two 100% attacks wrecked my left arm. Alright, Shigaraki now possesses All for One, and One for All is a power passed down for the sole purpose of beating All for One. He has to go down here. No matter. Now's the moment to let it all out. Everything that One for All has to offer. Jeez. Okay, so no matter. What happens to me? Again, this is the problem they were talking about, is him going too far, and even though he learned to control his power at like 20% and probably even more now that we had that little time skip, he's talking about how he wrecked his left arm by going 100%. Right now he's pushing himself, using all of his power, because he thinks, okay, if I take down Shigaraki here, then it's all over. I don't need to worry about the consequences. I don't need to worry about what comes after if I beat him right now. But the thing is, Gigantomaki is going to show up. Shigaraki's also really powerful on his own right now. He's healing. He's not going to be able to beat him right now. And so not thinking of the consequences of what comes after is super dangerous, especially since his arms were already messed up previously. And again, that's like what Bakugo and All Might were talking about. So I loved all the stuff we got this chapter. It was more flashback than it was fighting. But the one thing that it really makes me think is I just want to know, I want to know the stories including the deaths that All Might wrote down. I want to know about all the previous holders. I feel like we will probably learn that eventually. I don't think it's something that Horikoshi will hold back. I think we'll get to learn about it eventually. But there's a lot of things to think about here. Like I said before, I think that the reason, again, All Might doesn't want to tell him until he's sure of something, it makes me think that at least one of the quirks, one of the powers held by one of the previous ones is really powerful, like the fourth, is really powerful, but it potentially had something to do with his death. Maybe it's a real double-edged sword, because I feel like this chapter really laid the groundwork for something like that. But it's interesting to see what'll happen here. And there's also, again, All Might said, it took me becoming like this in order for Endeavor to really be able to connect with me. So, and eventually you'll get that moment with Izuku, so that makes me think, is Izuku going to have a moment of weakness where, you know, maybe he doesn't lose his quirk, since we've seen what's happening at the end here. Maybe he doesn't lose his quirk, maybe he just ends up really, really injured from overdoing it here, trying to go all out to just beat Shigaraki all at once. Also, we have the development of Shigaraki might get pretty beat up by Izuku, Endeavor, Bakugo here, and then get saved and whisked away to heal up a bit and to get stronger by Gigantomachia, because even though he's really, really OP right now, we can't forget that they spent a lot of time showing us last chapter that Shigaraki was only at 75%, so he is not fully formed, fully completed yet. So we still could get more time spent with Shigaraki building himself up. And it may even lead to, even though he's kind of taken this mantle on himself now, and he doesn't really seem to care about All For One himself that much right now, maybe if he does face kind of a loss here, it'll make him like, okay, we need to break All For One out of prison, which is something that people have been thinking about for a long, long time, and maybe this will be something that leads into that later on. But yeah, I'm interested also to see, we see that Izuku, between the time that this flashback took place and now, he's learned to use float, but we'll see if he learns more powers other than that, because that leaves him with, he should get 7 overall, right? Because there's the super strength that comes from the passing on of quirks, which should be it's the original holders, but it should also count as his and All Might's, because they didn't have quirks, at least that we know of. So that means there should be 6 others that he can learn, right? From the second holder all the way to the 7th. So we have Float and we have Black Whip. That should leave 4 more quirks from the 2nd to 5th holders, if Black Whip was the 6th, but I don't quite remember. Yeah, there should be 4 more quirks he can learn. Maybe he'll pull out one of those here. But yeah, either way, that is it. I'll see you all next week, because we don't have a break. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. See you all next week. Like if you did like the video, comment down there, tell me what you thought of this chapter or my first thoughts and reaction. Subscribe for more Hero Academia, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to the Discord server, asking, I'll give you one. And if you want to help support the channel on Patreon to help me keep making videos, it's patreon.com/HakuOfTheTubes, or a link will be in the description. Either way, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.